Good morning, seventh graders. Still recording from home. Yay me. Not. Okay, so today we're going to learn how to solve one-step inequalities. So it's basically like solving for x. There is one little weird trick that we will get to. So get some scratch paper, get ready. It's going to be easy. All right, guys. So here we have this inequality, which says n plus 5 is less than 7. And I know that it means less than because you eat the bigger one. So 7 is bigger than all this, okay? Now, here we go. Let's get started. All right, so we're going to solve for n, okay? So in order to, I'm going to subtract 5 over here, right? Because I'm adding 5 here, and I want to undo it. So I'm going to subtract 5, okay? Now, if I subtract 5 over here, I have to subtract 5 over here, which is 2. So it means n is less than 2, okay? So what we're going to do is this. Now, I don't know if y'all have learned this yet or not, because I really don't know the 6th grade teachers really well anymore because I haven't taught them in a long time. But this does not have a line under it. It doesn't have an equal to. So what this means, it does not include 2. Okay, it's numbers less than 2. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a big open circle. We're not coloring that circle in. Do not color the circle in because it does not have a line underneath it. It doesn't say equal to. So it's all the numbers less than 2. And we know that 1, 0, negative, all of these numbers are less than 2 forever and ever and ever. So any number you would plug in there, it's going to give you a number less than 7. Any number from 1 down will be less than 7, okay? So I hope that one was easy, okay? We're going to do a few more, so don't worry, but make sure you're practicing them with me. Okay, so here we go. We've got another one. The difference in this one and the last one we just did is, one, I have the equal sign underneath it. So this reads, as we see it, -8 is less than or equal to 8 times w. So we want to figure out what is w. The second thing that is different than the last example is that my variable is on the right side of the inequality. We really like to have the variable on the left side in an inequality. It's just easier to read and understand, okay? So what we'll do at the end is we'll solve for w, and at the end we'll switch it, okay? But we'll talk about it. So let's go ahead and solve for w. All right, so this is super easy. This is a one-step inequality. I'm doing 8 times w, and I need to get rid of the 8, so I'm going to divide by 8 because I'm going to do the opposite. Okay, just like solving an equation, excuse me. We're doing 8 times w, so we want to undo that by dividing by 8. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 8 over here. That cancels out. If I divide the right side of the inequality by 8, I've got to divide the left side of the inequality by 8. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 8. Now I have -1 is less than or equal to w. All right, now, we really like to have the variable on the left-hand side. I don't know why. It's just the rule of the thing. It's easier to graph that way. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we're going to read it backwards. W is greater than or equal to -1. So now I'm just going to do w is greater than or equal to -1. All right. So basically, we flipped our inequality when we moved our variable to the other side. So if you move your variable to the other side, you need to flip your inequality. All right. Or if you multiply or divide one of the sides by a negative, then you got to flip the inequality as well. All right. All right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to graph this. All right, so we're going to put a circle on -1, and it is colored in because we have a line on the bottom. So we're going to color in our circle, And it is, W is greater than -1. So it's going to be all the numbers greater. There's also a trick I want to show you. Okay, so if you make sure if you can get your variable on the left side, if you do this, okay, are you ready? If your variable's on the left side, if you just make your inequality an arrow, it tells you the direction of the line. So I know my line is going to go this way because my inequality is that way. So that's just a little bitty trick that I learned a long time ago that I wanted to share. If you understand it, great. If you don't stress out. It's not a big deal. All right, guys, we got a couple more. All right, guys. So now we have this one. We have -6 times A is greater than 66. Okay, so this is going to be an open circle because I don't have the equal to sign underneath it. Okay. Also, I noticed that my variable is on the left-hand side. So we're good right now. We don't have to move it or do anything like that. All right, so obviously our goal is to isolate A, get it by itself. So we've got to get rid of its coefficient, the -6. All right, now, if you remember from the last example, I told you, if we divide or multiply by a negative number on an inequality, we're going to have to flip our inequality, okay? So first off, let's get rid of the -6. We have to do the opposite. And what -6 is doing to A right now is -6 times A. So we're going to do the opposite. And we're going to divide by -6. Well, -6 divided by -6 is +1, right? All right, so now we're left with A. Now, I've got to come over here and divide by -6. Well, 66 divided by -6 is -11. And since I divided by -6 over here, I've got to flip this inequality, okay? And I'm going to tell you why we do it. So here's a little example. Okay, so let's say we have 1 and 2. Well, which one's bigger? +2, right? All right, so you know that 1 is less than 2, correct? Now, what if we multiplied both sides by -1? What if I multiplied this by -1 and then this by -1? So now we have -1 and -2. Well, -2 is more negative than -1. -1 is bigger than -2. So we have to flip the inequality. So I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully that makes sense to you on why we flip it. If you wanted to know the why, which I always wanted to know why. My teachers never told me. They just said, do it like this. To me, if you understand the why, everything makes more sense. All right, so if you have a question, raise your hand. All right, so now I'm going to graph this. All right, so I'm going to find -11 down here. And it's an open circle, remember? All right, now, my arrow is pointing this way. So it's going to include any of the values less than -11, okay? But it doesn't include -11. So -12 and on, okay? All right, guys, we'll do one more example, and then I'm going to let you loose on quizzes, okay? All right, guys, last example. If you have not been doing these on your own, you probably want to consider trying this one on your own just to make sure that you understand how to do it. All right, so here's our inequality. We have R is divided by -2 is less than -6, okay? So we're going to find out all the numbers we can plug in here that will satisfy this inequality. All right, so my variable is on the left side, so I'm good. I don't have to worry about moving it, so we're good there. So what I want to do is I need to get rid of the -2. Well, we're dividing by -2. So if I multiply by -2, that's the opposite, and that will get rid of it. So I'm going to multiply this side by -2, and that cancels out, and we have R. Now, I am multiplying this side by -2 as well, so that means my inequality is going to flip, okay? And -6 times -2 is +12, okay? All right, so what this says now is R is greater than 12. All right, so I like to do this just to see it's going to go this way. So this is an open circle. And we are going all the all the all the numbers greater than 12 are going to satisfy this. And you can check it if you wanted. We could choose 14. We could do 14 divided by negative 2. We'll see if it's less than negative 6. So 14 divided by negative 2 is negative 7. And we know negative 7 is less than negative 6. So that does work. Okay, so guys, I hope that you really understood this. If you don't, you need to ask questions. I feel like I say this I do say this every video. I don't have to feel like, I know I say this every video. You guys have got to ask questions if you're confused, okay? All right, so good luck on your quizzes.